To Guam, Micronesia, and the CNMI. Cars Plus Hyundai, home of the Kona electric vehicle, an electric heart with an SUV soul. Test drive yours today at Cars Plus. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it, and King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Ahead on Primetime, the FBI releases a 2021 report on elder abuse for Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands. Coast Guard Forum strengthens collaboration of regional maritime law enforcement. Daniel Perez reports. Does the CNMI governor support a 5-member prosecutorial team? Tomas Mingletnia has the latest from Saipan. These stories and more right here, right now on Primetime.
Hafide and good evening, everyone. I'm Hannah Devonzo, and thanks for tuning in to your news leader. Topping our newscast this evening, 35-year-old Justin James Tyron was arrested and charged after police responded to a school that received a report of 2 minors that were being sexually assaulted. One of the victims, a 13-year-old, alleged he had assaulted her over 40 times, and the abuse started when she was 9 or 10 years old. The second victim, a 12-year-old, claimed Tyron sexually assaulted her between the ages of 9 and 11. A witness told police they did not think Tyron would ever hurt the children. He faces 4 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct and 4 counts of criminal second-degree sexual conduct. Athan Trixon Barbosa will have to spend the next decade in jail following his January conviction of second-degree criminal sexual conduct. As a first-degree felony, he was sentenced on Tuesday by Superior Court Judge Vern Perez. Barbosa touched the genital area of a 13-year-old while he slept in the living room. Prosecuting attorney Sean Brown, who argued for the maximum sentence of 10 years, said, "We are pleased with the sentence handed down by the court. The message is clear: don't touch children." Barbosa must register as a level 1 sex offender on the sex offender registry and must serve a 3-year parole term following his release from the Department of Corrections. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has released its elder fraud report for 2021. According to the report, they've seen an alarming increase in criminals targeting senior citizens, and loss amounts are even more staggering. As for here in Guam, last year there were 16 complaints of elder abuse with a total loss of almost $1.6 million. As for the Northern Mariana Islands, there were 4 complaints with a total loss of $3,000. Overall, the crimes targeting seniors across the country detailed multiple types of schemes, including romance scams, investment frauds, government imprisonment, and tech support fraud. The Maritime Law Enforcement Forum kicked off today at the Ducitani Resort. Daniel Perez has the details on the 3-day event involving the United States and Philippine Coast Guard agencies.
It's a combined effort from 6 different Coast Guard agencies to keep the seas in Southeast Asia and the Pacific safe. Deputy Commander of the U.S. Coast Guard Rear Admiral Peter Gautier and Commander of the Philippine Coast Guard Rear Admiral Ronnie Gil Gavan detailed the importance of the Southeast Asia Maritime Law Enforcement Initiative.
What we do under this Southeast Asia Maritime Law Enforcement Initiative is we gather together to reinforce our relationships, conduct information sharing, see where we can better build capacity and capability to tackle the common threats that we have collectively with law enforcement on the high seas.
We believe that information exchange is the key to success in dealing with those issues. And information sharing needs trust and confidence. And there's still no substitute to building relationship by being with one another in things like this. So this is very important for us because we have to build relationships.
Rear Admiral Gautier stated it's imperative to get together now more than ever, since they increasingly find themselves threatened by transnational criminal organizations that smuggle drugs and people across international lines, as well as other illegal activities happening in Southeast Asia and the Pacific.
More and more we find illegal fishing to be a problem that's common within Southeast Asia and the United States as well. And so it's important for us to compare notes, exchange information, see where we can improve our relationships to better get after these problems.
Rear Admiral Gavan added how communication is key to building trust with other Coast Guard agencies and how it will help strengthen the Southeast Asia Maritime Law Enforcement Initiative.
As long as we keep on talking with each other, great things can happen. And simply provides us that avenue for us to build that relationship because we are talking and dealing and tackling the things together as one people.
Other members attending the Maritime Law Enforcement Forum include senior leaders and policymakers from Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam to collaborate and expand maritime law enforcement partnerships. Daniel Perez reporting for KUAM News.
Over in the NMI, the involvement of a House prosecutor in the existence of an impeachment record for the Senate trial of Governor Ralph Torres hangs in the balance. Regional correspondent Tomas Manglotnya today asked Torres whether he would support the House proposal for a 5-member prosecutorial team.
They have a rules. The House have their own rules. The Senate have their own rules. So we're here to follow the rules.
Governor Ralph Torres says he's sticking to the rules when it comes to the playbook outlining his Senate impeachment trial. We pressed the governor if he'd support the Senate, allowing the House to have 5 prosecutors instead of 1 as outlined in the rules.
There's a rules that the Senate has, and so I think they have their own rules and we follow those rules.
But that airtight rule book continues to be challenged by the House and the Court of Public Opinion. While House leadership has said they would consider taking the Senate to court as a last resort, a war of words continues to dictate the procedural gridlock, and even the House clerk, Linda Muña, has had enough. Wednesday morning, Muña penned a response to the Senate clerk requesting a 30-day extension until May 6 and not tonight to resubmit the full impeachment record with the deficiencies the Senate found corrected. If the Senate does not accommodate that request, the trial could move forward without an impeachment record or House prosecutor. Muña says the Senate took 11 days to put together their objections. She wrote, "By contrast, I have only 48 hours to correct these deficiencies, which would entail rearranging thousands of documents from dozens of disparate sources. This is an unreasonable and unfair burden for me to complete within such a short time span." Muña also challenged some of the Senate's assertions of deficiencies, saying that the organization of the current record is accurate and reflects the nature of how they were received. She writes, "It would defeat the purpose to have a record which is mechanically organized chronologically, but which separates records which relate to one another and which were received together." Muña also requested being able to work with the Senate staff to parse through the errors on paper. She says complying with the rule by tonight's deadline is simply not feasible. KUAM has reached out to the Senate President for comment. Tomas Manglotnya for KUAM News on Saipan.
The CNMI House clerk also sent the request for an extension to the Senate President after the Senate clerk informed her to do so late this afternoon. And some substantial relief for soaring gas prices is being proposed. Speaker Therese Terlahi is speaking public input on legislation that could mean a savings of as much as 23 cents a gallon at the pump. Nestor Lecanto reports.
A hearing is set for Thursday afternoon on a pair of bills by Speaker Terlahi to roll back the most recent 4-cent increase in the liquid fuels tax and another measure to eliminate the tax and related surcharges altogether. In an interview on The Link, she said, "We can't control U.S. shipping laws, we can't control global fuel prices, but..."
This is the one thing that Guam controls. That's the tax that we have put on gas. And so I'm hoping I can get the support of our entire community that we all together agree.
The fuels tax is meant to fund a variety of local needs, such as village road improvements. Terlahi says the government collects enough in other taxes to still cover that.
The impact of this bill, $10 million overall to the government of Guam, right? And we can clearly cover that with our $62 million excess revenues. And I would prioritize this, or covering, village street repairs with that $62 million over, above step recruitments, over additional hiring, over many, many other things that we are currently, that they're putting on the table. They want to hand out all the money, and I say, why don't we give it back to those people who are paying it to us?
She says the fuel companies she's talked to have reassured her that if the tax is lifted, they will pass the savings on to consumers.
Please, anyone out there who wants to talk about decreasing their fuel prices by 23 cents per gallon, please come to this hearing.
For KUAM News, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Similar state fuel tax rollbacks are being implemented or proposed across the country. Once again, the hearing on Therese Terlahi's bill is set for tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. With COVID cases down, the Guam International Airport is easing up on the restrictions it placed at the height of the pandemic. Daniel Perez reports.
What we've identified in flights that are coming in, especially from the U.S., that they're coming in full. the planes are coming in full. So yes, we're starting to see the increase in passenger movements coming into Guam and also transiting from Guam.
Executive Manager of the Guam International Airport Authority, John Kinata, confirmed the uptick in people coming to visit Guam. Due to that, as well as the low COVID numbers on island, the airport has lifted a lot of its COVID restrictions.
As of today, upon arrival, you no longer have the public health processing lines that you go through when you arrive on Guam. They're no longer there. So it's not required that these passengers do go through that. And one of the reasons is that the federal regulations that are continuing is that before a passenger comes in from any of the foreign countries, that they'll be vaccinated and also having negative COVID tests before they get onto the aircraft, or else they won't be allowed to get on the aircraft.
Kinata added what other restrictions have been lifted starting today.
In the arrival section, you can now come back like before, go in and meet your passengers that are arriving right when they come out the customs inspection area. So they're allowed to go in, and so there's no restriction of movements to go in there.
The executive manager stated that by Friday, all doors going in and out of the departure side will be open, so there's no longer a single point of entry. Social distancing will also be suspended by Friday, and that includes the queuing lines. Mask wearing is still required while inside the airport and on the aircraft. Thermal screening upon entry will also be suspended. However, thermal screening upon arrival will remain. Daniel Perez reporting for KUAM News.
Still to come on your news leader, an update on this year's Liberation festivities. These stories and more coming up next.
Beautiful. It is, right, baby?
Dad, isn't that where we usually stop for gas?
It's where we used to stop, but not anymore.
But isn't that the place with the milkshakes?
Okay, all right, let's go.
Good job, kids.
Take your adventure further in the first ever Santa Fe Hybrid.
Here at Nimitz Towers, we're a large-scale rental complex. We have over 20 employees, and when the pandemic hit, our concerns were people not being able to work, loss of revenue and income, and luckily, due to PPP, we were able to keep all our employees employed, working. We were able to provide services, maintenance, and cleanliness for the building and the operation. Also, the rental assistance program helped us stay solvent during the pandemic and helped us keep the attendants in place.
We're thankful for Congressman San Nicolas advocating for these funds on our behalf in Washington, D.C.
If you have any concerns about any federal issues, feel free to contact your congressman's office.
Thank you for the federal funds. Thank you for the federal funds. Thank you for the federal funds.
Thank you for the federal funds.
Thank you for the federal funds. Thank you for the federal funds.
Paid for with official funds from the Office of Congressman Michael F.Q. San Nicolas.
Let us know what's up on our KUAM News WhatsApp tip line at 671-727-0094. Share information about what's happening in your town, on Guam or the CNMI, and what you want us to know. Reach us on WhatsApp at 671-727-0094.
Speaker Therese Terlahi continues to question recent conversations had in a meeting Governor Lou Leon Guerrero held with original landowners of the Eagles Field property. The governor has said she will build her billion-dollar healthcare facility on the property, which will be leased to the government of Guam for 100 years. The governor weeks back held a closed-door meeting with some original landowners who tell KUAM they were informed getting their land back was not an option, and instead that compensation for the Guam Ancestral Land Commission could be a possibility.
I want to make it clear. There's no landowner on Guam that's been compensated by the Ancestral Lands Commission yet, right? The Ancestral Lands Commission has some money that they get from leasing some of their properties, and that money is supposed to go towards compensation. The issue is there are so many landowners lined up for compensation that they might end up getting pennies.
Original landowners have complained they were left out of the conversation about the new hospital complex and what it means for any return of excess land at the site to landowners. Excess land in PD near the former USO property have been returned to Gov Guam, and the PD mayor Jesse Allig said he knows of 2 families that may be original landowners of those properties. The PD Municipal Planning Council entertained proposals for the use of the PD lands in its last meeting. Adelup Communications Director Crystal Paco San Agustin did not return a request for a comment about the status of the PD property and why it wasn't being given back to the original landowners. The Guam Ancestral Lands Commission may have received a clean opinion from Guam OPA, but according to the findings in a 2021 GALC could have collected millions more in revenues from deferred and delinquent rental payments and at least $2.1 million in receivables the agency deemed uncollectible. The OPA also noted that there's not only been 0 payments issued from the Land Bank Trust, but there's still no rules and regulations for the program. A draft of the rules and regs was completed in 2017. Additionally, in a separate letter to management, the OPA cited several deficiencies such as allowing for uncollectible accounts for delinquent lease rentals, non-compliance with applicable procurement requirements such as document retention, and having no formalized contract agreement between GALC and land management for office space. Just because a person is intoxicated does not mean they cannot be a victim of a rape, and a bill by Senator Mary Torres would close a loophole in Guam's statute to stop defendants from using that as a defense. Superior Court Interior filed. The Guam rape law is patterned after Minnesota's, where the state Supreme Court ruled that the language did not clearly prohibit such a defense. The Minnesota legislature had since amended the statute, which local attorney and former prosecutor Christine Tenorio says Guam also needs to do.
She should have known not, or he should have not known not to take X many drinks or consume X many drinks in one night. So what this does though is that it closes that loophole, and as long as the prosecutors get the opportunity to argue to a jury that this person was too intoxicated to be able to consent, then those victims can still be, treated as such.
Testimony during the hearing noted that Guam has the 2nd highest per capita incident of rape in the nation, and bill sponsor Senator Mary Torres said this will help serve as a strong deterrent.
Importantly, we will send this clear message to our community that alcohol use is never an invitation to rape, and those who prey on the severely intoxicated will be punished.
Under current law, victims are not considered mentally incapacitated if they voluntarily consume an intoxicating substance prior to being sexually assaulted. And Star Marianas Air will provide inter-island air travel to Department of Defense personnel traveling between Guam and the NMI. The agreement between Star Marianas and the DoD covers the next 5 years under a blanket purchase agreement after a rigorous review and on-site evaluation last October by DoD officials. We are very excited to have been approved by the DoD and to work with them to support their transportation requirements within the Northern Marianas and Guam, said Jose Cruz, Star Marianas Air's general manager. SMA is the only U.S. airline based in the CNMI and began its operations in 2009. And a swearing-in ceremony was held this morning for the 2 top leaders of the Department of Corrections.
2 new committed and qualified individuals have stepped up to the task of leading the Department of Corrections. Robert Camacho has been appointed as the director and Frank Leon Guerrero as the deputy. The governor appointed Camacho to the position last month after his predecessor, Joe Carbolito, announced his return to the Guam Police Department. Camacho previously served as deputy at DOC. As for Leon Guerrero, he's a former U.S. Marshal for Guam and the CNMI and previously served as the director of the Marianas Fusion Center. Both have big plans for DOC.
The top priority is building that new prison. That is the number one thing. And then also hiring more personnel.
The new prison is in the planning stages, and as for more personnel, that's an ongoing issue.
They're severely understaffed. The prison population here is, we're looking at about 680 something inmates, and there's only a little over 200 guards, and that's split into different assignments all over the area.
One guard watching over 20 inmates is not uncommon for them. Under Camacho and Leon Guerrero's leadership, they hope to enhance their image at DOC.
Our vision is to be the most respected, well-trained law enforcement entity in the Pacific, and to be a noble force where people can say, man, I want to work there.
While there's no official date set, DOC plans to have a job fair in the next month to hire more correction officers. Also during the ceremony, 31 employees at DOC were promoted.
A $36 million military contract awarded by NAVFAC Pacific to Hensel Phelps Construction Company out of Hawaii to perform work on Guam. The company is tasked with constructing a warehouse at Marine Corps Base Camp Blaz. The warehouse will store operational military vehicles. The work will be performed in Finagazan and expected to be completed in July. After 2 years of not celebrating nearly 8 decades of being free from the occupation of Japan due to COVID-19, the Liberation Day Parade will be making its way back this July. Jonah Goncharfris has more.
Liberation Day festivities will return this year with a parade, floats, food trucks, loud music, fireworks, and dozens of families camping, dancing, and even barbecuing, celebrating 78 years of being free from the Japanese occupation. In an interview on KUAM News' The Link Monday, PD Mayor and Mayor's Council of Guam President Jesse Alec says that the MCOG, in partnership with the Guam Office of the Governor and the Guam Visitors Bureau, are planning this year's Liberation Day commemoration.
We're working together to put a nice celebration together for Liberation.
A Liberation Day parade will for sure be happening on Marine Corps Drive, according to Alec.
We're certainly working on a parade for July 21st. We'll make that announcement soon enough where you can pick up float applications or parade entry applications.
Parade watchers may be authorized to camp out the night before.
Yes, we're going to permit that. It'll be permitted. The spectators on those slots will certainly be permitted. We're certainly going to be encouraging everyone to come out to participate in the parade, whether you're an entry or if you're just coming out to be a spectator.
As for road repairs on the original Liberation Parade route being completed by July,
I know there's a lot of concern about some construction on Marine Corps Drive when we were discussing it, but we have been assured that all of that construction will be done by next month and will not have to, won't interfere with our July activities.
As island residents know, Liberation Day festivities aren't all celebrated on just one day, but instead throughout the whole month of July. Although most liberation activities will be coming back this year, Alex says there's a list of things not returning, like the carnival, the Queen contest, and casinos.
Unfortunately, for those gamblers out there, we're not having any casinos or any gambling that we're planning so far. Not too many want to, jump out at running for or putting together the Queen's contest, because there's a lot of work in that, and there's a lot of fundraising, and we're just kind of not in those times.
Alec added that through the multi-body efforts, a Friday and Saturday event is underway, as well as a big surprise. Memorial ceremonies will also continue this year within the villages and will be open to the public. Reporting for KUAM News, I'm Jonah Goncharfris.
Stay tuned. Up next, Dave Delgado with your roundup of local sports. You're watching KUAM.
If you are a senior citizen or an individual with a disability who needs assistance in getting the COVID-19 vaccine, call 311 and press 2. A representative will be happy to assist you in scheduling a vaccination appointment, arranging transportation if needed, or arranging homebound vaccination service. Just call 311 and press 2. This public service announcement is made possible through the Guam Tri-Agency on Developmental Disabilities, UOG Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities Education, Research and Service, Guam Legal Services Corporation, Disability Law Center, and Guam Developmental Disabilities Council through the Administration for Community Living.
Don't need a work break, keep the smile on your face. The moments you can't replace, and I'll be around. Whoa, you can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Dave Delgado here for KUAM Sports. Thanks for watching. We get the show started tonight with news on the Guam Basketball Confederation's internship program. Check it out. The Guam Basketball Confederation, the national governing body on Guam for the sport of basketball, is seeking applications for a basketball operations internship for approximately 6 months, May through October 2022.
So as far as interns, what we're looking for is just college-age students, maybe high school seniors, graduating from high school this year, who love basketball, who love sports, who just want to be involved and just help us to grow the game. The biggest thing for Guam basketball, for our internship program that we're starting, is to engage the community. Our men's national team has had a lot of success. Our women's national team has had some success. My biggest goal is to engage the community and to get more people involved.
Applicants can apply via email to davidkenna@guam.basketball. Make sure to include cover letter, resume, and references. Candidates must pass a Guam basketball background screen and complete safe sport training.
We've got a summer league coming up. We've got youth camps lined up. We've got a 3-on-3 tournament coming up. We've got, our FIBA tournaments coming up. So our schedule's full. We've got a lot of operations, a lot of day-to-day operations that we could definitely use some assistance. We could definitely use the help, and we want people who want to learn, who want to work with us, learn how our organization works, and work directly with FIBA.
There will be a minimal monthly stipend provided for the internship. This is an excellent opportunity for applicants who desire to pursue a career in sports. FD hosting the Harvest Eagles in the IIAAG Boys Volleyball League. Eagles serving to start the game. Friars' Ethan Alvarez puts down the shot to give the home team the lead in the first set. FD up 10-6. Harvest calls a timeout to talk things over. The Friars never trailed after the short break. FD's Gabriel Sarmiento's ace kept the home team up as they led 20-15. Joseph Moffness with the kill. FD went on to take the set 25-20. Friars scored 2 straight points to start the second set. Both teams warmed up, matching shot for shot. Great play at the net by both defenses. The set was tied at 7, then 10, and 17 after Traven Kai put down a shot for Harvest. The Eagles took the lead 22-20. Friars battled back and eventually took the set 26-24. FD carrying the momentum into the third set, up 6-3. The largest lead by the Friars was by 9 points. Up 23-14, FD closed out the match, scoring 2 straight points for the 3-set victory. The Friars will be back in action on Friday when they take on the Guam High Panthers at Guam High. Harvest will be at home when they take on the Notre Dame Royals.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Need a new phone?
Trade in now and get up to $500 off our best 5G devices. Trade in your older phone in any condition and step up to better savings and speeds only our 5G network can provide. Check out our website and catch up on the best mobile experience. Trade in now. Docomo Pacific, better together.
I'm stuck in this infinite time loop thing. I'm reliving the same day over and over again. I get to do whatever I want.
Plus, Taco Bell's nacho fries never leave the menu.
She's violating the nacho fries limited timeline.
Does that happen every day? Let's dip.
Try her now!
What's happening?
Let's get spicy!
Look out!
Today's a great day to get some great food and the perfect time to head to the Micronesia Mall in Dedido, where our friends at Jollibee are celebrating their 3rd anniversary since returning to the island. Since returning in glorious fashion in 2019, the eatery has served hungry patrons craving for signature dishes such as the Chicken Joy, the Young Burger, and their famous spaghetti. And today they're inviting you and your family to join their party and celebrate with them. You can get a great meal deal and with select purchases get a limited edition Jollibee Funko Pop wearing a ceremonial barong. Management thanked the community for their patronage, for the employees for their tireless work, and announced the 2nd location to be opening downtown in Cagayan. We wrap up the show with your birthday shout-outs. Here's Jason Salas.
On this April 6th, let's all say happy birthday to Tara Stefani Paninilo Lanek. Happy birthday and we love you from Daddy, Mommy, and Kuya. And belated birthday wishes to Malia Lauren Cundiff. Happy 12th birthday. Love from Mommy, Drew, Isaiah, Jamia, Ariana, Laura, and Landon. Happy birthday to you both.
You can be part of our Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club by checking out KUAM.com. And that's our show. Thank you and stay safe, Guam.